WHGE 95.3 FM. Coming up, the Open Eye. It's my theme song. Have you ever heard my show? Oh, okay.
It's hard to catch it live, just because I'm usually, who knows doing what.
I heard that.
But it's nice that it's on YouTube.
Yes. My late co-host used to admonish me for not focusing more online, but my show is been in the top 5 for the past year and a half. It was number 1 for like 4 months in my time slot.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Good morning, my children of the sun. Welcome to the Open Eye on WHGE 95.3 FM. I'm your host, having a little trouble with my mic, and third eye optometrist, Patrice Gibbs, ready to get them started, ready to get that eye open. If you're a regular listener, you know how I start off. Every generation has its purpose. Ours is to reveal the truth and reverse the brainwashing. Hey, my man Steve, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and get my disclaimer out the way right now. Yeah. And get them going, okay.
The views and opinions expressed on the Open Eye are those of the hosts, guests, and contributors, and do not reflect the policy or position of WHGE 95.3 FM, nor our sponsor, the Delaware Center for Homeless Vets. Any content provided by Open Eye's hosts, guests, or contributors are theirs and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, company, or individual.
Yes, indeed, the Open Eye right here. Hey, my man Steve, I see you in there. Okay, anybody that knows me and knows anything about me knows that I am a big Dizzy Gillespie fan. I am, as I always do, start off a little light. All right. On November 11th, 1990, Dizzy Gillespie was interviewed by Chicago Tribune journalist Howard Wright. He talked about his first experience of Charlie Yardbird Parker. When I heard Charlie Parker for the first time in 1940, man, I had never heard anybody play like that. I mean, he sounded really different. So we locked ourselves up in that hotel room and played all day. We didn't even call it bebop yet. The word came about because people didn't know what tunes we were playing. So folks would come up to us and say, hey man, play that tune, you know the one you played the other night, which goes yee-bop, bop. So that's how they started calling our music bebop. Yeah, Dizzy Gillespie. You know, he always said that Charlie Parker was the other half of his musical heartbeat. And in spite of the contentious relationship they often had because of Charlie Parker's unfortunate addiction to heroin, Charlie would show up late, this, that, and the other. I had mentioned last week, one of my coworkers asked me to name a perfect song. And 2 of the songs I named were Dizzy Gillespie and Charlie Parker songs. One, of course, being The Night in Tunisia, just absolutely perfect. And the other was Lover Man by Charlie Parker, which is a song that he actually hated, unbelievably. And, you know, it's one of those songs that you can't remake. You know, some songs you shouldn't bother with. Once it's done, that's it. Once Charlie Parker did Lover Man, that's it. And the crazy thing about it was, Charlie was in a bad way when he played that song. I think he had to lean on the wall to actually play his sax because he was going through withdrawals. And to offset the withdrawals, he got drunk on wine. And Lover Man is probably one of the greatest jazz recordings ever. Yeah, Dizzy Gillespie and Charlie Parker, 2 of our greats. You know, it's something with They put in so-called medicine in the late 1800s, early 1900s. All right. Bayer actually had on the shelf in stores and drugstores and what have you, heroin hydrochloride. Yeah, and the directions were to take 2 or 3, but only by order of a physician. They was actually prescribing people to take heroin. Mm-hmm. You had to bring a stop to that, I bet you. And of course, as we all know how Coca-Cola got its name. Mm-hmm. Coca-Cola got its name because the main ingredient in Coca-Cola from the start was cocaine. WHGE 95.3 FM. Open eye. All right.
It's also when you think about opioid addiction now, right?
Yeah.
Same thing.
Same thing. It's crazy.
Yeah, it really is crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. Hey, Brother Roger, I see you on there. All right. Hey, all right. This is Patrice Gibbs, your third eye optometrist. You know, I think I get this from Sister Tracy. Working class people are literally commodities in the capitalist system. This reality is hidden from us through our schooling and media because it's a reality that most human beings would resist if made clear, which would not be good for the capitalists who control our society. All right? Maybe we should stop asking why food is so expensive and start asking why corporate grocery store profits are at record highs. Yeah, and you're going to have something to deal with, you people that voted against your own interests. Mm-hmm. And for those of us in the black community, mm-hmm, it's something we have to look at. Of course, as we all know, that slavery is outlawed, except for those duly arrested and convicted. Okay? They put that in there so they could get us. Mm-hmm. This is a quote from Brother McIntyre, Charles C. McIntyre. I place the practice of imprisoning African Americans, particularly the males, in the founding fathers' structural design of this nation. From the beginning of this nation, we African Americans have lived and do live with the fear that if we do not end up in prison or in some other form of institution, someone in our families will. I have a nephew in prison right now. I claim that our incarcerations occur not because of criminality or accidents of injustices, but due to the structural design of this nation. Institutionalization became the ultimate solution in which whites addressed the problem of having free blacks in this country. And as we know, the industrial prison complex is very profitable, not only for the corporations that use the prisoners for labor, but a lot of prisons are built in places, rural areas and what have you, where the prison is the main source of income of their economy. You got to pay attention. How many times I tell you, there's levels to this thing. Pay attention. James Baldwin said, please try to remember that what they believe, as well as what they do and cause you to endure, does not testify to your inferiority, but to their inhumanity. Yeah, you know, I always love quoting James Baldwin, and the open-eyed listener is well aware of that. From Sister Tracy, who is still asleep. Remember years back, those dudes with the tiki torches and the khaki pants? Remember the numbers? Remember the numbers of those who attacked the Capitol? Man, if we don't wake up, Jesus, hey, 2025 policy agenda. I'm going to get into this a bit more, but listen to this. This book is an invitation for you, the reader, Mr. Smith, Mrs. Smith, and Ms. Smith, to come to Washington or support those who can't. Our goal is to assemble an army of aligned, vetted, trained, and prepared conservatives to work on day one to deconstruct the administrative state. Okay, here's what these morons don't realize, because their goal is to get rid of the black people in the bureaucracy that runs Washington, D.C. Okay, this is something that a lot of us don't understand. Mm-hmm. And this is so for bureaucracies throughout history. Why was ancient Egypt so thorough in their government? Because their bureaucracy was so strong and knowledgeable and experienced. Mm-hmm. The great Imhotep, the African genius Imhotep, one of the greatest minds to ever inhabit the earth. He came from a family of bureaucrats. His father was a government bureaucrat. And that government ran smoothly. No. Why do you think ancient Egypt went 3,000 years without a major war? Because their bureaucracy knew how to govern. Mm-hmm. WHGE 95.3 FM, the Open Eye. Hey, Sister Sherry, I see you on there. All right. You know, there's something how some of these Trumpsters that bit the dust. They're actually, and I'm going to talk about this, they actually are Googling how to reverse their vote. Not too late. Too late, you moron. You should have thought about that crap before. Yes,
and before I forget, Pat, can I share a couple? I can just text it to you. A couple events. You just made me think about that when you were like, "Oh, there's in December they're doing a National Tenant Bill of Rights event on housing." Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that's something, because I know sometimes you'll share.
Yeah.
So that might be something for the next one in December.
Okay. Yeah, you can text it to me. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get it in today.
Right. Okay. But you just made me think. I'm like, oh, I should.
There. All right. WHGE 95.3 FM, your third eye optometrist here. Now, you know, there's been a lot of reactions to the election of the orange disaster. Idiots voted for Trump. And you know, it's something, I looked at a couple of the election maps and what have you. And you look at the states, I think Kamala Harris won about 20 states. But I saw one map that showed the counties that Trump won. Okay? And it was just a sea of red. Okay? Oh, but now y'all got regrets, huh? Oh, yeah. Like this guy here. And this is what's been going on in families across the country. All right. I voted for Trump. This is what this guy said. I voted for Trump. My wife sent me divorce papers. What do I do? I didn't even know it's possible to be served divorce papers this quickly. I don't even know what to say. I'm shocked. I married somebody willing to throw away our entire life over politics. See, you don't get it. Last week, we were happy. Today, we're getting divorced. She won't even have a discussion. She says nothing will change her mind. Insists she is going to report my parents because they live off of disability. But my dad does have some cash work, auto repair. Okay, so he getting money under the table and she gonna turn his ass in. So now I'm worried for my whole family. She wants me to buy her out of the house. We had $300,000 in it, plus built a 4-bay garage since we bought it 3 years ago. I can't afford that. When I told her this, as she was packing her things, she said, I guess you're finally going to really know how it feels to be by a Democrat. Her name is on the deed, but not the mortgage. I'm not comfortable that I can reason with her. What do I do? Where do I start? How do I fix this? Is anybody else experiencing this in the wake of the election results? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, a lot of you people, like I said, voting against your own interests, chickens voting for Colonel Sanders. A lot of you people are experiencing this. I saw a video of this guy was talking about his grandmother. He voted for Trump. His grandmother told him, "You voted for them to take my Social Security. Okay? I do not want you at the house for Thanksgiving or Christmas or New Year's. Stay away from me. You voted to hurt me and your grandfather. Go to hell." Now, the guy that just got divorced, he's wondering what he could do. What you need to do is learn the history of how women were affected and what women went through. In 1900, women gained property rights and wage rights. 1900. Country by that time is over 100 years old. In 1910, women had the right to wear pants. In 1920, finally, Susan B. Anthony led the fight for women's suffrage. Women could vote. Oh, and don't get it mixed. I'm no fan of Susan B. Anthony. Because Susan B. Anthony was real pissed off when black people got the right to vote. I forget, was it the 15th Amendment, whatever. Even though we didn't really, across the board, had the right to vote until 1965. In 1924, Native women became citizens in their own damn country. In 1963, women gained equal pay rights. And of course, that's still questionable. 1965, black women could finally vote. In 1969, women were allowed to initiate divorce. So before 1965, okay, and this is for you people who want to make America great again, and you women living in that leave it to beaver fantasy. Before 1965, if your husband abused you, raped you, or did whatever, you could not initiate divorce. You could walk out and leave him, but he could hunt you down and whoop your ass and bring you back home. That was 1969. In 72, women could get birth control. You know, Clarence Thomas stated right after Roe v. Wade was overturned that the next thing they're going after is birth control. Because they're ignorant, they have no understanding. You know, yes. Do I agree with abortion personally? No. But guess what? I'm not birthing no babies. All right? So unless that discussion is with a woman that I'm with and who's, impregnated by me, if she has that decision, yes, I think we should discuss it. But the final decision is hers. I like what was it, Carol Burnett said. You don't have a whole lot of say in abortion unless you experience the pain of childbirth. And the only way for a man to experience the pain of childbirth is to take your bottom lip and pull it over your goddamn head. Okay. In 74, women were allowed to buy a home and get a credit card on their own. 1974, that's in my lifetime. All right. I was 11 years old then. In 1988, women could own their own business. 88. In 93, women gained legal protection against rape by their husband. 1993. That's in everybody's lifetime listening right now. Your husband could rape you and you couldn't do anything about it until 1993. In 2015, women gained the ability to marry each other. None of your damn business who they marry. In 2021, a woman became vice president. And in 2024, we had the opportunity to elect a black woman as president. It didn't happen. But that's for you, you moron, whose wife is divorcing you, all right? And now you're in the camp of these people right here. The folks in red states are now Google search how to change my vote in droves at the Trump's victory. It's called buyer's remorse. It's too late. Iowa had the highest number of people searching how to change their votes. As America grapples with Trump's impending second presidential term, folks in red states are wondering if they can change their vote at either the local, state, or federal level. Nope. Nope, dumbass. Yeah, people are in there saying, yeah, well, one of the reasons I wanted to vote for Trump because, he's going to get rid of Obamacare. And I don't mind the Affordable Care Act, but this Obamacare, what? You idiot! Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act are the same damn thing. Now I see this one guy. He's facing crazy debt because of his medical bills, and he voted for Trump. And now he's worried. And he complained. Oh, what do you mean Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act are the same thing? What do you mean? Why did they name it? Why did they give it two different names? Okay, you haven't been paying attention, my man, because it was the Republicans that called it Obamacare so that you, white supremacists, would be like, yeah, we don't want that. And study the history of why we don't have universal health care. Because the first president to try was Theodore Roosevelt, okay? And what happened was, you had this insurance man. I don't have my notes on that right now. But there was this insurance man that wrote the opposing view on having universal health care. Talking about Teddy Roosevelt, 1915, somewhere around there. And his reason was, if we have universal health care, that means black people would get it. And we don't want that. That's why you got to pay 20% on Medicare. Because they don't want universal health care across the board for everybody. You got those silly people that say, we don't mind if it hurt us as long as it don't help them. Google Trends reveal that from November 4th through the 11th, the searches peaked on Election Day. And after Election Day, by 7 a.m., the day after the election, they had peaked and gradually decreased throughout the day. On November 6th, Trump was announced the winner. Other state and local leaders were also announced that day. Iowa, which went red, was the state that had the highest amount of people looking into changing their votes. And what would motivate a lot of them? It was the economy, huh? Yeah. You didn't know what a tariff was. You didn't know how it worked. Now you're not getting a Christmas bonus because your employer has to buy materials before the tariffs take place. And he's going to use your Christmas bonus money to do it. No, you can't change your vote. You voted with good conscience, and you will. You didn't make a mistake. You made a decision. And Googling tariff is not going to help. All right? Googling Department of Education is now not going to help you. Yeah, it's too late. Googling 2025 is not going to help. You know what? You get what you voted for. It's your own damn fault, voting against your own interest. And I'm going to tell you something. Let me get this here. Yeah, where my man at? Because he broke it down for you. I got it right here. And he broke it down. Wait a minute. Give me a second. All right, I know that I'm going to forget about it. Lyndon Johnson told you, all right, you could take the greatest black man, and whites will look down on him. You convince them that they're better than the greatest black man in the country. As long as they have somebody to look down on, You can pick their pockets. Hell, you ain't even got to pick their pockets. They'll empty them for you. That's why you have the southern states, okay, have the highest rate of poverty, piss poor education. Their infrastructures are screwed up. Because these people continually vote against their own interests. Because, and this is why Trump won the election, because he expressed hate for the same people that you hate. Dumbass. WHGE 95.3 FM, the Open Eye. Right.
You have me looking up Google search. I didn't know you could look at Google Trends.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. All right. WHGE 95.3 FM, the education advocacy station. Yeah, you tune in here, you will get an education. That's where Brother Haru, Brother Jade, I see you there. Hey, here's the exact quote from Lyndon Johnson. I'll tell you what's at the bottom of it. If you convince the lowest white man that he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice you're picking his pocket. Hell, give him somebody to look down on and he'll empty his pockets for you. And you know, it's interesting that Lyndon Johnson became such a champion of civil rights in the 60s. Because Lyndon Johnson was a Southern cracker. Forget about it. You know, from Texas. But he was a New Dealer. And he had vision enough to see that we couldn't continue like this. Lyndon Johnson was studying contrast. You know, he carried on and actually did better than Kennedy probably would have, carried on Kennedy's ideal of integrating the society, of making blacks full citizens instead of second-class citizens. And now that the orange disaster is in, these people are getting braver and braver. I seen a brother sitting on his porch, minding his own business, and one of these Trumpsters from the mayonnaise mafia decided he's going to stand in front of this man's porch and berate him for voting for Kamala Harris. And he just kept on and kept on, and he just couldn't get to him until finally he went ahead and called him the N-word, and that black man came off his porch and whooped his ass. F-A-F-O. You know, F around, find out. That's what he did. And that's what a few of them have done. And this white man, can't remember what state it was. He went to Legislative Hall in his state, and he was there to speak against gun control. And his thing was, yeah, well, you know, we implement this gun control. What you need to do is I think it was in Michigan, because he did mention Detroit. What you need to do is go down to, over 8 Mile and get the guns from these African Indians. N-word, you know what he said. Right there, now, they're getting real brave with it now. Like I said, look, and I hear people say, we are not our ancestors. But you need to read up on that history, because there were many times our ancestors didn't stand for it, whether it was doing slavery or Jim Crow, right? And some white man or white woman got their ass whooped for stepping out of line and disrespecting us. And I tell you something else that's going on. It's of course it's been going on, but it's the walking while black existing while black, trying to do your job while black. A white man called the cops on an Amazon driver that was delivering packages and told her that your kind doesn't belong in this gated community. And there's a video that went viral on it and showing the man attempting to prevent the Amazon driver from entering the gated community to make a delivery. And it got thousands of views on TikTok. And he called the cops. Right? And he told the cops, I got people trying to get in the secure gated area. They're trying to follow me in my golf cart. And the driver said, are you kidding me? You know, and he was so belligerent and so nasty with it and so aggressive with it that he wound up getting arrested. And keep on. Keep on. Like I said, F around, find out. Because that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing right here. WHGE 95.3 FM, the Open Eye. All right.
I was just looking at that photo. A guy I work with, he's the son of Harmon Carey.
Oh, yeah.
Roderick Carey.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, oh, why do I know? I'm like, oh, that's his dad.
Yeah.
So that's called enough to tell him.
Mm-hmm. I heard that. Yeah, that's Premium One by Patrice Gibbs. Hope you like that. All right. One of the things I mentioned was what is playing with Project 2025. And it goes on to Trump's administration. Not just, the bureaucracy, but his cabinet. And it's something that it should be no surprise that his cabinet is going to be very white and hostile to racial equity. And here's what you should know. A week after Election Day, 1 week, President Trump and his transition team have named several nominees and appointees for the second Trump administration, comprised of MAGA loyalists who are overwhelmingly white, and some who have a history of trafficking in racism or hostility toward equity programs. These are people whose main goal is to make sure that we make America great again. Like I said, they want that Leave It to Beaver fantasy that never actually existed. It was noted that as a candidate, Trump ran on white supremacy and made it very clear that he had every intention of installing an executive branch that would execute anti-black policies fueled by white nationalist agenda. To say that this was about the economy, when you see that some of his first announcements of who's going to be closest to him, there's no disillusionment that economic anxiety was also wrapped in racism. It was also wrapped in xenophobia. It was also wrapped in anti-blackness, anti-CRT, anti-DEI. And the crazy thing is, most of the people that are against CRT and DEI don't even know what the hell it is. Former U.S. Congressman Mondale Jones stated Donald Trump made very clear over the course of the campaign and his last presidency that he's got no problem surrounding himself with white nationalists. The former New York representative, who also sits on the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights, said Trump's selections thus far, we see extremists who are going to advance an anti-American agenda that resembles much of a white nationalist agenda. Maya Wiley, a former civil rights attorney and New York mayoral candidate, told the Griot that the picks by Trump were pretty predictable when you consider the racism spewed during the 2024 election cycle. And who are some of these people? This first one I'm going to bring up, even Republicans were tripping when he announced that he's going to nominate Matt Gaetz as Attorney General of the U.S. Justice Department. Matt Gaetz. For those of you that don't know, Matt Gaetz is a sex offender. Which I guess it should really be no surprise that the orange disaster, Mr. Grab him by the pee, who has been accused of rape, should be no surprise that this guy would be right perfect for him. And if confirmed, Gaetz would be in charge of the same Department of Justice that investigated him in a federal sex trafficking case. The law enforcement agency ultimately decided not to charge the congressman. That's called white privilege, y'all. Because this cat took a underage girl across state lines. The Mann Act. And those of you that know anything about our history, especially if you know something about rock and roll, Stephen Leach, you know that Chuck Berry was arrested in jail for violating the Mann Act. And where did the Mann Act come from? It was initially instituted to go after the first black heavyweight champion, Jack Johnson, Matt Gaetz. All right. Now, it gets worse. It gets worse. Yes, anybody that knows anything about Project 2025 probably consider this the most chilling appointment. And that's Stephen Miller, the proponent of Project 2025. Stephen Miller is appointed Deputy Chief of Staff of Policy. He is the mastermind behind Trump's controversial family separation policy at the U.S.-Mexican border and a strong proponent of Trump's proposal to end birthright citizenship. I say this to some of my Latino friends that voted for Trump. Once again, you join the ranks of those chickens that voted for Colonel Sanders because you voted against your own interests. And I heard somebody say, oh, well, I'm not worried about it because they're only going after the criminals and what have you. They're talking about denationalization, which means they're going to come after your ass too. Jeez Louise. After leaving the Trump White House, Miller founded the conservative legal advocacy organization America First Legal, which is committed to ending what they call anti-white bigotry. The hell is that? The group has filed several lawsuits challenging racial equity programs intended to reduce racial disparities in business and education, including one that blocked President Joe Biden's debt forgiveness program for black farmers. And Miller's he's a bona fide white nationalist who spent the first Trump administration masterminding horrific initiatives like the Muslim ban and child separation at the border. Got his piece of work. Yo, and these are the people, you know what? You know where we are. We are about 2 seconds away from Amber Rose becoming the Surgeon General. WHGE 95.3 FM, the Open Eye. This is Patrice Gibbs, your third eye optometrist. Yes, did I say Amber Rose becoming the Attorney General? Well, you know, Mr. Grab him by the pee. You know, he allowed to do anything. And she do what he wanted her to do. Yeah. Yeah, so he got talked about how these white nationalists are upset about black people getting jobs that they thought they should have. Yeah, it's something. Yeah, I think I got this from Chris Rock. He said that America is actually a country of mediocrity. I posted a meme not too long ago that showed a group of cats reading this book that said America Exceptionalism was the title of it. And they were rolling on the floor laughing because this is a fantasy. And you go in a classroom and you'll have maybe 5 students that are brilliant. Then you have another 5 students that are really struggling. But in the middle, you have those that are pretty much mediocre. The 5 brilliant students are scoring A's. Those that are struggling, might be getting D's or even failing their classes. Those in the middle are getting C's and D's. Y'all elected a D student, a goddamn moron. And that's who's running things. Didn't catch on the first time. Now what's he doing? Oh, I know a lot of y'all, and I'm probably in that group myself, have admonished Democrats for not bringing up reparations. I got other things that Democrats didn't bring up. But they've been, and rightfully so. You got some Democrats, you mention reparations to them. Who else is it? Bernie Sanders. That's just divisive, and we can't discuss that. As if whites didn't get reparations. Learn your history. Because when Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, one of the first things he did was award whites around Washington, D.C., Virginia area funds for losing their labor force, their free labor force. Never mind the work that those black people put in for free, they didn't get a damn thing. But he gave the whites that had to free their slaves reparations. Now you got these mediocre morons that want reparations because they didn't get jobs that they felt they got that was taken by someone that they consider a DEI hire. I tell you what, it's like you didn't understand affirmative action. You have no idea what DEI is about. Because as usual, black and brown people, have to be far and above the requirements for whatever job it is to even be considered. Trump in his upcoming second administration has folks on edge wondering what he will ever implement next. He's planning to bring reparations, like I said, to U.S. federally, but it's far from what we consider reparations. There was a video that was released in July of 2023. Trump detailed his plans on impacting higher education. This D student is going to impact higher education. That should make you nervous right there. He said, I will advance a measure that had them fined up to the entire amount of their endowment. A portion of the seized funds will be used as restitution for victims of these illegal and unjust policies. What he's basically doing is he's telling you he's going to take the money that organizations or that look for ways to push equity. He's going to take the endowments from schools that have DEI or have had DEI programs. And of course, we can thank the Asian community, and I had to laugh at them for being used by white supremacists in affirmative action in college admissions. And what happened? The people that they were actually fighting against, black people, to end admissions, affirmative action admissions for black students. Come to find out, the black students didn't really need them in a lot of these schools because their achievement, their scores, allowed them to meet the criteria. And what happened with a lot of the Asian students? The percentages in their admissions dropped. And now they want to sue for that. Make up your goddamn mind. Jeez Louise. You know, Trump plans to find institutions that educate about racial discrimination. He don't even want you educated. And like you said, use those fines as restitution for those affected, white people. But of course, Trump's idea of racial discrimination is the banning of critical race theory, which he himself has no idea what it is. All right? But he's going along with the Project 2025 plan. And that's where the plan is outlined. It's amazing. It's amazing. And this is what y'all voted for. Black Americans have longly waited their turn for slavery reparations. The U.S. government has given Japanese families placed in internment camps during World War II and American families who lost loved ones during 9/11. They've gotten reparations. But when it comes to black people, the government still stalls. Look, I'm going to tell you, and I've told you this a couple of times. I am not going to fund your empowerment. If I'm a white nationalist, the last thing, and especially knowing your superiority. Oh, that sounds crazy to some people, all right? But you get these mediocre people who come up against black people in certain jobs and arenas or whatever that are actually severely inferior. The only reason they're there is because of white privilege. And the idea of having a level playing field scares them to death because they actually can't compete. They actually can't compete. That's why I said, I understand. I am not going to fund your empowerment, especially when that empowerment leads to the exposure of my inferiority and answers everything in my fears. As Sister Tracy said, that's what won the election. She went on to say the fear of white people being led not by just a woman, but a black woman. It's the fear that was felt before when the country elected a black man for president. It's the fear of losing control they've held since the inception of this country. It's the fear from a patriarchal society who for centuries don't believe women, especially a black woman, is supposed to be in positions where they have to take orders from her. It's a white patriarchal fear where they believe a woman is supposed to know her place and the man is in charge. It's not just white fear, it's stupidity. Stupidity because many had the belief that they got a stimulus check from the orange disaster when in reality those checks were held back until he got his name stamped on them. Damn, pay attention. I'm voting for Trump because he gave us a stimulus check. That's what some of you rocket raccoons said. You're silly enough to believe because his name was on the check that's why you got the check, because of him. As if the money came right out of the orange orangutan's pocket. The hell out of here. Now this country is at the point where the MAGA call can make this country great again. But for who? In what era? White women will once again find themselves going further back than the pre-anti-abortion days. Thank you for that, Sister Sherry. WHGE 95.3 FM, The Open Eye. to close here.
It's amazing how many people believe that still.
You know, that is so nuts, man.
You're like, he don't gotta write you a check.
Yeah. You know, so this is the same cat that won't pay people that work for him.
Exactly.
You know?
And you think he gave you a check?
Yeah. You think he's gonna be generous with you? Get the hell out of here. Yeah.
That cracks you up every time.
I heard that.
I even remember getting the check and laughing like.
Jeez Louise. That is so silly. I tell you. All right. All right. Time flies when you're having fun. All right. Did y'all know that 10 out of the last 11 receptions that we've experienced in modern history has been under Republican administrations? 10 out of the last 11. So you can imagine how difficult it is to listen to people pontificate all day about what Kamala did wrong with Democrats. Mm-hmm. What did wrong, and how's the economy, and how's the border, and how's everything but the obvious. This is not about the economy. If it was about the economy, you know, we would not have elected another freaking Republican president. Y'all pay attention? Every time the Republicans get in there, they get in there talking about, oh, we're spending the money wrong, oh, the debt's too high, and this, that, and then they can run the debt up. This is what they do. Mm-hmm. This is about white supremacy. This is not about the border. Because the border has been a disaster under every president in modern history. This is about white supremacy. This is about the browning of this country. This is about the preservation of whiteness. Mm-hmm. Do I have smoke for those Latinos that voted against their own interests? Yeah. Do I have smoke for those black men that voted for Trump? Hell yeah. Mm-hmm. But I'll never have more smoke for them than I have for people who are committed to preserving whiteness as a concept when they know how harmful it is to everyone else and they don't give a damn. At the end of the day, the results of this election are rooted in racism and ignorance. Racism from white supremacists who are petrified of the changing demographics in this country, and ignorance from the various minority groups who either aspire to whiteness or literally just don't read. And that's what happened. Sometimes the answer is simple. Mm-hmm. Do you know how the most powerful people that have ever walked this planet as a people, capable of building such magnanimous, unimaginable structures that the world has ever seen, how do you defeat such a people? They are not defeated in a physical battle because there is no man on this earth who is stronger than a black man when it comes to war. And that's just a fact. History shows us. So they didn't defeat us in a physical battle. They didn't defeat us using their technological advancement. Don't be silly. These are the same damn people that thought the sun rotated around the earth. Okay. How then did our enemy defeat us? The same way they are currently defeating us. They appeal to the basis, the lowest part of our psyche. Greed, lust, and ego. Ooh, look at these women we have. Any woman that you could ever desire. Or you could be the greatest ruler in this world, greater than any pharaoh. All you have to do is betray your people. And then once we lower ourselves to their level, they come infiltrate. How do we get back to our greatness? Righteousness. That's how. A righteous man is an incorruptible man. A righteous man cannot be manipulated with ego, lust, and greed, nor can a virtuous woman. This is our first step. This is how we return to our greatness, to the greatness of our ancestors. It's so simple. That's it. That's it. WHGE 95.3 FM, The Open Eye. Thank you for joining me on The Open Eye. I hope you learned something, as I know I did before I got here. That's why I was able to tell you about it. And as we always tell you, destiny determines who enters your life, but you decide who stays. Therefore, value those who value you, and don't treat those as a priority who treat you as an option. It's The Open Eye. I'm Patrice Gibbs. All right.
It does go so fast.
Yeah, it does. Hey, y'all. Thanks for joining me. And as I always tell you, global African supremacy. Okay? Because everybody ate when the black man ruled. I'm Patrice Gibbs.